you is to the Department of Aging's website, and I believe this is also on the DHCS website. It's a detailed matrix that takes you through each of the categories, 1 through 5, the different criteria under CVAS for either NIF-A or acquired or what's the other, the traumatic brain injury, et cetera, chronic mental illness, category 2, the dementia categories, and developmental disabilities. Each of those categories has specific requirements that are tied to it, and I'd say especially important under the NIF-A one, if you're not familiar with that, the nursing facility A level. The references to Title 22 are in this matrix, so if you want to take a look at the regulations that talk about what does nursing facility level A mean, the regulations are in that matrix, so you can click on that and go there. And then, again, more reminders that the 2.0 version of the form includes the eligibility and medical necessity criteria, but more detail available in each of these references. Again, this is the information that you probably recognize it. The form already has that page, I think it's page 8 of the form now, that has each of the eligibility criteria. That's that section 3 now. That has categories 1 through 5, and then the medical necessity and eligibility criteria that go along with each of those. This is the detailed slide that gives you the narrative on that. I would draw your attention to the bottom of page on slide 24. Another link that will bring you to a guide for determining Alzheimer's disease or dementia stages. Lots of good detailed information there in that tool. Because categories 3 and 4 specifically talk about individuals with Alzheimer's disease or dementia at either the moderate level or the mild level, mild to moderate, and what that means in terms of behaviors and things that will help to stage at either the mild level or the moderate level, and that detailed tool is at that website. So a very good tool to access if you don't have those have an understanding of what those staging levels are. And so that's, again, a set of slides for review. Debbie, jump in, please, if you anything else. These are the medical necessity criteria and some thought processes behind in the graphic representation here about what you're looking for as you're going through your eligibility process and determining what are those qualifying conditions that are referenced under criteria number 1 in the medical necessity. This is just a tool to help you look at those statutory requirements.
Everything's on the slide so that you can see which piece of the W&I code that it comes from, the specific category, and then the different qualifications for this, or for the category. And this is one of the slides that kind of bubbles the 2 categories that need the assistance or supervision with the ADLs or IADLs, category 2 and 4, so that you kind of remember those 2 in your head. I think the next slide is the big, not the round one. This is the 3rd medical necessity criteria. These are the identifying the community supports. And as you keep going through this, again and again, you begin to see how that CEDT, it's not slammed in your face that this is the W&I code, but it's all there. It's all built in so that you don't have to question, well, what does this mean, or how do I do this, or where does this criteria fit? It's behind the scenes kind of the basis for that CEDT so that it flows along and it's more of a free-form understanding of it. And pretty soon, even though you didn't memorize the W&I code, you'll pretty much know it by heart for this.
So criteria number 4 that exists in the statute, again, identifying risks for institutionalization, part of the thought process behind ensuring that they meet criteria number 4, and it's built into the tool. But this is just another reference to it that helps you think about what the criteria are for participation and how you're looking at that individual during the evaluation. Criteria number 5, the individuals who get approved for CVAS need to have a need, an identified need for the services that are available in the CVAS center. And so this is the criteria that we're talking about under criteria number 5.
Those are those core services, the professional nursing, the personal or social services, the therapeutic services, and the meal each day. I think I left one out.
Yeah, and actually, here are the required core services in detail. Again, for your review and more detail, they're built into the slides, built into the tool somewhat, but here's the core services that are required each day, again, under 14550.5 in the W&I code. And then here are those professional nursing services defined. When Debbie was going through that slide, that part of the tool in our review, it was saying they need to have at least one of those. They could have all of them, but they have to have at least one of those needs on a daily basis. And there they are in detail right there.
And their needs can change too. As long as they have one professional nursing service on each day of attendance, they can rotate through these different ones too. If when you get the IPC, you see that there are various nursing services that they're using, but maybe only once a week. That's fine, as long as they have one professional nursing service on each day of attendance.
And here are, again, the core services, social services or personal care services each day. Somebody could have personal care services one day, social services another, or all personal care services and no social service needs, or vice versa. This is what the law says about what they need to have on a daily basis for that core service category. For therapeutic activities, again, the definitions of what those are, the need for them every day is what gets them meeting that eligibility criteria, number 5. And then there's the meal per day of attendance unless they decline or there's some contraindications that exist that prohibit the consumption of the meal. So those, again, for review, but the new tool addresses those pretty thoroughly now. Jeannie, do we have any questions that have come in?
No questions right now.
Don't be shy. Send your questions. Okay, so more slides on level of service. So once you make that determination of eligibility and you have done the face-to-face, you've finalized the determination, you've notified the center that they may go ahead with doing their multidisciplinary team assessment and the development of their care plan, then the CBAS Center is going to send that request for authorization of services, including the individual plan of care, to you for adjudication. And they do the same thing with our regular Medi-Cal fee-for-service participants as well. And then there's a decision that you make at the plans, at DHCS, regarding the level of service that will be approved for the number of days per week that this individual will be seen in CBAS. So again, some references for you, some guidance for you in making these decisions. There's nothing strictly formulaic about any of this, and the plans, I understand that many of you have policies and procedures that help you structure how you look at these things, but these are the guiding points that you need to know. Section 54209 in Title 22, California Code of Regulations, talks about some of the possible considerations with regards to level of service and authorization for services. 54223 in Title 22 also addresses attendance and scheduling. And then the Medi-Cal Provider Manual in the Community IPC section addresses some other points. These are all pretty broad, but those are your sort of guideposts for looking to this question of how to adjudicate level of services. So some things specifically. Under Title 22, 54209, some of the things that are listed, some of them repeat with the eligibility and medical necessity criteria, and some of them are unique. So, for example, it calls out in Title 22 medications that can't be safely administered due to physical or mental disabilities, and individualized therapeutic treatment designed to restore optional function, to abate health deterioration, intermittent monitoring of medications for response and effect. These are things that are in the regulations that are considerations for how to look at the level of need that's demonstrated in the IPC and that needs to be authorized for daily services. There's also a section in 54209 on functional status, and it talks about the individual's need for assistive devices. Remember, the CEDT now has those assistive devices in there. And the inability to perform toileting. There's those ADLs, bathing, eating, dressing, grooming, transferring, incontinency and probable benefit from incontinence retraining, sensory loss, vision, hearing loss, dependency and the need for part-time or full-time basic supervision. These are things that are in the regulations that, again, go to how the individual's level of need may play into your authorization for services. And the third category, there's medical, there's functional, there's psychosocial limitations that are addressed in the regulations, and here's some more of them. Inability of the person or the family, family being an important piece in this community model, their inability to cope adequately with problems associated with the person's disability, need for a peer group sort of setting or social rehab setting, mild or moderate confusion or depression, tendency to wander. These are all things to consider as you look at that level of service determination. Also in Title 22, for your consideration, 54223 talks about the treatment needs of the participant determining the frequency and duration of attendance. So what is it that they need? What is it that they need on a daily basis? And that should be what governs the amount of attendance that they have at the center. And that the number of days should be governed by the least time needed to carry out what the center has developed in that IPC. And that participants shall not be encouraged to attend more frequently than necessary for achievement of the goals and objectives. So what are those goals and objectives that are stated in the IPC that you're looking at, and what is the necessary amount of time to achieve those? Considerations for your review.